Dorothy Miles was a pioneering deaf poet, playwright, and educator whose life and work had a profound impact on both the deaf and hearing communities. Her journey from a young girl grappling with her identity to a celebrated figure in the world of literature and advocacy is a story of resilience, creativity, and determination. Dorothy Miles was born on August 19, 1931, in Pontypool, Wales. She was the youngest of 3 children in a working-class family. Dorothy contracted meningitis at the age of 8, which led to her becoming profoundly deaf. This sudden loss of hearing was a life-changing event, marking the beginning of her struggles with communication and identity. At that time, the options for deaf education were limited, and Dorothy found herself isolated, unable to communicate effectively with those around her. Her parents initially sent her to a mainstream school, where she struggled to keep up. Eventually, she was enrolled in the Royal School for the Deaf in Margate, where she learned sign language and began to find a way to express herself. However, Dorothy's early years were marked by a sense of isolation and the feeling of being caught between 2 worlds, unable to fully integrate into either the hearing or the deaf communities. Despite these challenges, Dorothy was an intelligent and determined student. She excelled in her studies and developed a love for literature and the arts. After finishing her education at the Royal School for the Deaf, she went on to study at the University of Manchester, where she pursued a degree in English literature. During her time at university, Dorothy began to explore her identity as a deaf person more deeply. She became involved in the deaf community and started to develop her unique style of sign language poetry, blending her love of language with the visual and expressive power of sign. After graduating, Dorothy moved to the United States, where she further developed her skills as a poet and educator. She became a teacher at Gallaudet University, the world's only university for deaf and hard of hearing students. While at Gallaudet, Dorothy continued to write and perform her poetry, gaining recognition for her work both in the US and internationally. Dorothy's poetry was revolutionary. She was one of the first to use American Sign Language, ASL, as a poetic medium, creating works that were not just translated from English but were crafted specifically for the visual spatial language of ASL. Her poems often explored themes of identity, communication, and the experience of being deaf in a hearing world. Her work bridged the gap between deaf and hearing cultures, bringing the beauty and expressiveness of sign language to a wider audience. Despite her professional success, Dorothy's life was not without personal struggles. She battled with depression and the ongoing challenges of being a deaf woman in a predominantly hearing world. Dorothy Miles passed away on October 30, 1993, but her legacy lives on. She is remembered not only for her contributions to literature but also for her advocacy for the deaf community.